Hello, my name's Samuel Matthews, and I want to tell you my story about how I was the first person in the world to sue the government for medical marijuana and get paid cash. So please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you're new here, thanks for watching. And as always, good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time you're watching this, thanks for watching Common Sense Talks. This is the story about how I went on a long journey to sue the government for taking my medical marijuana away from me when I was, we'll say, about 26, 27 years old, something like that. And I'm going to start from the beginning, tell you a little bit about me, why I use marijuana, why I use it both recreationally and medically, and talk about what happened to me, and talk about my fight, and talk about some things that happened afterwards. So follow along. I've got a great story for you guys. Check it out. So I first started using marijuana when I was about 13, 14, just like experimental. I didn't really start fully using it full time until I was about 15 or 16. And at that point when I did, I didn't stop. I've used it almost ever since. The longest period of time I've probably ever gone without, which was probably 6 months, and for maybe 2 or 3 stretches. Other than that, for the last 25 years, I've used it daily. And the reason I use it is twofold. Of course, I got into it, as a kid, just trying to get high and escape the tortures of everyday bored life, right? And I found that I actually really liked it, and I was able to function. It didn't interfere with my physical ability to play sports, to be active, to ride my bike, to skateboard. It didn't really stop me from being able to pass my classes, get grades, but it was relaxing. And a little bit about me, once I started realizing it was actually helping me, then it really kind of changed from a recreational to a recreational / medical use. And I'll explain why. When I was a little kid, I was molested, had some bad things happen to me in the very early years of my life for very, 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 very unsubstantiated and in no shape or form reasonable means. I was removed from my parents' home along with my 2 brothers because my mother spanked my brother, who's very light skinned, and left a red little handprint on his butt because he pooped on my aunt's stairs, and she called CPS on us. And we were in a very liberal city, and all there was like a thumbprint, I remember. And they literally ripped all 3 of us out of the home for like over a year or so. It was very, very, very traumatic, caused a lot of issues with my trust in any kind of authority, law enforcement, teachers, just anybody trying to tell me what to do. And to this day, it's still a very impactful thing to me. I've also been homeless. I've had a lot of family members pass away. I've lost a kid. And throughout life, it's been a way of dealing with stress, anxiety, PTSD. No, I haven't been in war, but I've been in a 120-mile-an-hour car crash. I've been molested, bullied, and abused. Not by my family, thank God. But, I've had some hard times, let's say. And I started realizing I also have ADD, ADHD. I have a 151 IQ. My brain just spins like a hamster in a wheel. You know what I mean? And it helps focus me. It helps calm me. And it helps with the anxiety, the stress. I don't take any other medicine, drugs. I don't use any antidepressants, anti-anxiety medicine. I'm very calm and relaxed. I've gone from all those things and pitfalls that I've had in my life to, I own my own house, I own my own business. I'm by no means as well off as I could be or should be, but I'm not hurting, so to speak, as much as I could be or should be. So, and I credit a lot of that to my use of marijuana. So, fast forward, when they in 1996, California first passed it. Of course, I wasn't even 18 yet, but right at like 2000 or 2001. You know, they I was 18, I think, in 99, something like that. Yeah, 99. So like around 2000 or 2001, you know, a buddy got his cannabis card, so I got mine like right after, like a year later, maybe at the most. We had it for a while, and everything was pretty low key and cool for a while. And I just been used to that. So I was over visiting my parents, and they lived in these apartments, and they had a detached garage, right? It wasn't part of the apartments. It's like the sections of garages, and then there's like all the homes, right, or apartments. And I was inside of the garage doing some things with a buddy. We were like poking around, messing with shit. I don't remember what, you know, just had the door closed, the light on, and I was smoking, of course. And I go to leave, and we open the garage door, and there's about 6 police officers standing in a semicircle with their guns out. One's even got them kind of pointed at us, and they're, oh, hey, wait, what's that? Oh, I smell marijuana. And they're like, what you guys doing? What you doing? And I'm like, oh, what you mean? What's going on? What are you guys doing in there? You know, you, and then they looked in there, and they're like, we got reports somebody living in a garage. I'm like, what? Somebody living in a garage, you know? I had a kid, I had a wife at this time. I was like, I got my own house. Here's my parents' house right there. I'm just was like, I think messing with a bike or something, you know? And of course smoking. And, you know, because I didn't want to do it in the house. So they started accosting me and messing with me. And I had a bag in my pocket about this big. And it was some outdoor that I grew personally. And the police were like, you know, hey, that looks like over an ounce. They're like, you know, if you have over an ounce, that's a felony, and that's sales of marijuana, and that's prison time. And a boy like, man, a white boy like you, oh, go to prison. Oh, you know, they started trying to scare me, and they're laughing. They're like, dude, you're going to get hit with sales. That's a felony. And they were like, you know, and I was like, what are you talking about? I got my cannabis card, and I showed them. And 1 or 2 cops were like, whoa, looked like they were going to actually, it might change the course of things. But there was this one prick who was just like, psh, we don't, what? That's fake. And then he's like, even if it's real, we're police officers. We got to follow federal law too. He's all, federal law supersedes state law. And I go, but you guys are city employees who are paid by the city in this county and in this state. You are not representatives of the federal government. You can arrest people, and then there can be federal charges brought up, but that's a whole different court. But your job is to enforce the city, county, and state laws, as well as, if there's something particularly that's federally illegal, yes, they can enforce it. But when the two conflict, they're supposed to follow their own state's laws. And, like the troopers or the marshals or state or federal agents can then, enforce their own laws, so to speak. And I was like, that's how I was explaining it to him. I'm like, plus I'm legal. What are you doing, dude? Just leave me alone. And they were laughing. They're like, we're still going to press charges. And they go, and we're going to weigh it. We're going to take it down to the department, and we're going to weigh it. And if it's over an ounce, you're going to rot in jail for a few days. We're going to throw the book at you. That's a felony. Good luck with your little plastic card. Yeah, they're laughing at me. And I looked the dude in his face, right? And I said, I'm going to sue your dumbass. And the guy looked at me and he said, go ahead and try. And I go, no, serious. I'm going to sue your ass. And I go, I'm going to take you to court. And my brother came out hella pissed, like, what are you arresting him for? My brother's special needs. And he's like 400, 500 pounds, right? And he's only like 4.5 feet, 5 feet tall. Dude's hella overweight, right? And unhealthy. I love him. But he comes out, and the cops get all, like they start getting all angry at him. And I tell my brother, calm down. I said, go back inside. I said, I'll take care of this. Don't worry about these. And I was calling them names. Don't worry about these dumbasses. Because I was already in handcuffs. I'm like, I'm going to sue the shit out of them. And specifically this asshole right here. The other ones, I go, they were really cool to me. There was one asshole. and he was the one that was stickler and wanted to make, made the phone call to a higher up and got approval. And so it's like, all right, dude. So I got his name, badge number, and the other cops were kind of like, one or two of them seemed like kind of like they felt the way he did, like screw you in your card, but they weren't assholes about it. And then there were two or three that were like, man, that's kind of messed up, dude. If dude's got his card, we should be leaving him alone. And I was very appreciative of those. And so anyways, they towed me down to the police station, and at the police station, the guy's just messing with me the whole time, and then realize this is about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and it's right around Halloween or right after Halloween. So it's either like right before Halloween, like late October, early November, and this was a cold year, so it was really cold. And I'm in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, mind you, because I was in my own garage smoking. So they process me, take forever, and they weigh it, and it was like 2 grams short of an ounce. So the cop laughs at me and says, you got lucky. I'm going to write you a ticket, and I'm taking your stuff. And I was like, whatever, dude, I'm going to sue you, like, for reals. And they let me go, so I walked home. And I was mad. I wasn't going to let this ride. And I got a friend of mine who's passed away now from cancer, God rest his soul, Grant Wilson. He kind of prodded me and egged me on. You going to let him do that? You're going to sue him? He goes, you should sue him. And I'm like, yeah, I should. And so before, like a month before the date was up, where I would have ran out of time, I sued him. And of course I had no lawyer, so I did it all pro per, and I did it all by myself. And I fought my criminal case, so I had to go to court for that, and I won that. And then when I was in there, I told the judge, I got my cannabis card. And they're like, what? And they're like, they looked at it, they called the number, got the doctor's office. Yeah, and then they're like, oh shit. And I said, can I get my weed back? And the judge goes, well, I don't see why not. And stamps it, boom. And then wrote it down, give him his weed back. I was like, oh no, you didn't. So I go marching down after I won my criminal case, and I hadn't sued him yet, actually. Sorry, I won that first. And I went down to the city, to the evidence room. Give me my weed back, fool. And then, because I wouldn't have sued him if they would have gave me my weed back. Because I just wanted my stuff back. So anyways, the evidence guy goes back and then comes back looking all sheepish like, oh, we don't have it. And I'm like, what? And then somebody else comes back and they're like, it shows here it was destroyed. And I'm like, what the? That was evidence for a case you'd done. I'm like, I think the cop smoked it. But anyways, they're like, yeah, we destroyed it. Like, what do you can't get it now. I said, I'm going to sue you guys now for sure. I was hella mad. So I went down and I sued them. Now, in the middle of it, the news got wind of it. I was on the front page of the newspaper. I was on television, literally ABC 30 News in Fresno. There's 2 videos on YouTube of me. And it was like a big deal for a minute. And this lawyer reached out to me, Joe Elfrod or Joe Elf, something like that. Look him up. Old medical marijuana lawyer that used to work for Cal Normal. He reached out to me, big wig, millionaire dude, and he was wanting to represent me, but I sent him all my paperwork, and he called me back and he goes, you're gonna lose. He goes, you didn't file it in a timely manner. And I go, but because you have like 6 months or a year or whatever it was, my statute of limitations to file a civil lawsuit was X amount of time from the date I was wronged. And he was going off of the date the marijuana was took. And I go, no, that ain't the day I was wronged, because I was willing to live and let live. I was willing to go through the process legally. I understand this is the first time these bumpkins have seen a medical marijuana card, so I'm not all too happy. I just wanted my damn weed back. But once you guys told me it had been destroyed, that's when you wronged me. And I'm like, nah, because that's what I'm suing for. I wanted my weed back. So if you would have gave me my weed back, I wouldn't have sued you. So he goes, yeah, you're not going to win. He goes, but good luck. So anyways, after that, I go into court and I make this big old packet of evidence. I get all the laws and rules. I get all the instances. I get all of the stuff. I poured through all the law books on like what I had to do, how I had to do it. I explained everything calmly and rationally, and I blew them apart in court. I destroyed them, and the judge ruled in my favor. Said, give the man his money. I sued for $7,500 or less, because if you sue for big money, it goes into the whole different court, whole different realm, and there's a big likelihood I could have lost, especially asking for like a large amount of money. I was like, look, you just took an ounce, $7,500. You need to learn your lesson. Don't ever do this again. And the judge was like, $7,500. That's a lot for an ounce of weed, man. He goes, I understand. He goes, well, how long did you go without it? How long would that weed have lasted you? And I go, maybe a month, And I go, how long did you go without it? This is where I screwed up. And I was like, oh, a week. And I got more afterwards. He goes, so your pain and suffering was only for, and I'm like, ah. So he awards me $1,700. And big old stink. That's when I got in the news again. They did a story on me. I'm going to read and show you guys this stuff. And the city waited till almost the last second and then filed an appeal. And they're like, not so fast. We don't, believe that the judge ruled right. So I get another judge, right? And this is all me, pro per. I'm my own lawyer. I'm researching I had to do all the filing and all the serving and everything. And, I had to like do everything legit, and I had to search everything up. So I had to go through an appeals process. So I went through the appeals process and got even more all amped up and got all my stuff ready. And when the judge heard that case, again, I did it the way it was. He heard the city side, and then the cop was there, and he goes, and the judge starts asking the cop. I'll never forget this. The cop thinks he's winning. The city thinks they're winning. They got smiles on their face. I'm all quiet, and the judge goes, "Let me ask you something." He goes, "You pulled this guy over, and he had an ounce of weed, and he goes, and he had a medical marijuana card, yet you still messed with him." And the guy and the cop's like, yeah, it's federal law. And the judge just reamed him. What kind of asshole cop are you? Like, you're a freaking city cop. You follow the state. He goes, your job isn't to enforce federal law. You're not an immigrant. He started going off on the cop. Like, you're not a federal agent. And he's like, he went off on him hard. And then he said, look, $1,700 is still too much. So we'll give you $800. So they gave me $800 cash, and I won. And nobody said I was so excited. So I'm going to tell you guys some more of the story. But before we get into it, trust me, it doesn't end there. I've got some crazy stuff to tell you. So let's follow along. So right here, so you used to be able to find me very easy on like High Times magazine, the frat boy stuff. I was on ABC 30 News in Fresno. But this was in 2007, so pulling up articles is just getting harder and harder as time goes by. There's so many pages of crap. But if you search my name, Samuel Matthews, Merced Medical Marijuana, you should get a bunch of different stuff. So I've got 4 sites up. We got the Bronx News, we've got 420 Magazine, we've got Shroomery, and then I've also got from a IC Mag forum. So again, I also have a video to show you guys. So let's go to the video first. So we're going to play a quick little video. I'm going to turn down the volume a little.
They are being
so that
flagrantly malicious to me. So if they're going to play,
it's like a half pound of perp.
I'm not going to let them disrespect my rights.
Look at the youngster.
As a being and as an American like that. Because no one else should.
Look at that smile.
And just because I happen to have medical cannabis doesn't mean I'm any less human than any one of you guys. And I'm not going to let them trounce me like this.
The reason why we are objecting to his claim is because for one, we have a legitimate court order.
4 different lawyers too they threw at me.
To return marijuana. And 2, to have it destroyed. And 2, to pay for his marijuana would be like paying and purchasing an illegal controlled substance under the federal substance control
Paid
substance law,
$800.
which is illegal under federal law. This is something that the city cannot do.
I'm going to carry the fight right to him. And so I took him to court. In court, I basically wanted to get my money back for what they've done to me, for the medical marijuana. I wanted to, because they said they basically had a secret court hearing behind my back to have the medical marijuana destroyed.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
After they ruled they should give it to me, they did a little meeting and they said, no, we got to say it was destroyed because I knew they didn't have it in evidence.
Medical marijuana is great for emotional problems, stress. When I'm moving around.
See, a lot of people were saying for pain, but I was saying no, for anxiety, for stress too, as well as pain.
And the medical
I like that framing right there.
We have to abide by the law, whether we agree with the law or not.
You go by state law, buddy.
We have to abide by it.
So, all right, now, one of the craziest aspects of this story is, yes, I am the first person to sue anybody for marijuana and win. Now, I only won a little bit, but I did a very important thing. I set precedent. And so what happened is, and if I could pull up the news stories, and I'll read from some of this. What happened is the city and county had to openly admit that they will no longer prosecute medical marijuana patients, anybody who had a medical marijuana card, and that they had to respect their rights. And the whole state basically said, oh yeah, we don't want to get sued. So all the way from Northern California almost down to Southern California, after my lawsuit, you see it's late 2007, after 2008, all of a sudden, Southern California cannabis dispensaries popping up. Southern California, remember? They weren't there before 2008. Because of me, they are. So what happened is everywhere they started opening up. Sacramento, Central Valley, Modesto, Stockton. You had Southern California. Well, Fresno said, to hell with you. We're not going to follow that. We're going to follow federal law. So they got an Asian guy. I forgot his name. But they busted an Asian guy for having 7 grams, just a little jar of medical marijuana. And he sued them with that Joe Elford or something like that. He sued him and they used my case. They got $700,000 for 7 grams. Because they already just knew. They knew, like, my case set precedent, told them, stop messing with us. It was malice. They were punking us and messing with us on purpose. And Fresno, knowing that that this had already been settled in court, still pushed it. And so they got hit with $700,000 for 7 grams. Can you believe that? Crazy. Now let's give you a little bit more, and we'll read some of this here. So this one right here, I love the intro. The Battle of the Buds hasn't yet gone up in smoke. The city will appeal a recent ruling that awarded $1,700 to medical marijuana user Sam Matthews. The money was meant to compensate Matthews for pain and suffering and the loss of $300 in pot that police confiscated last October 2006, actually, yeah. But Chief Deputy City Attorney Gene Schester, that's the other lawyer I beat, says giving Matthews the money would be tantamount to the city buying the drugs. We believe there's no legal basis in ordering the city to pay for contraband. The city will file its appeal this week in Merced Superior Court. The legal to and fro hasn't dampened Matthews' fighting spirit. He now plans to hire a lawyer and sue the city again, this time for $2,500, which I was going to do if I wouldn't have, if they would have messed with me again. So, but since we won, I'll tell you the story after that. So we got another crazy story. We're going to tell you something really awesome, so stay tuned. If they would have paid me my small claims money, I would have just disappeared. Poof, said Matthews. But you can sure bet your bottom dollar that I'm not giving up. Last time they got slapped. This time they'll get Tysoned. A reference to one-time boxing champ Mike Tyson. I'm telling the city of Merced this to their face. I just bitch slapped you in the face, and now I'm going to Mike Tyson your ass. I'm still kind of like that, but, you know, I was a lot more firecracker in my youth, right? But I was still a cool person. I didn't do anything bad. I just don't take shit, you know? So the city's appeal marks yet another chapter in what Matthews calls his David and Goliath struggle with the city. It's also another example how people like Matthews get caught between conflicting strands of federal and state laws regulating marijuana. Matthews, a 25-year-old Merced college student who uses medical marijuana to ease back and knee pain, was handcuffed by police last October after he was discovered medicating in his parents' garage. Matthews showed police an Alameda County medical marijuana user card and a doctor's note, but he was cited for possession of pot. Police office also confiscated my medicine and locked it in an evidence warehouse. So in May, Merced County started issuing medical marijuana cards. Yeah. But Matthews' run-in with police happened months before. So they didn't recognize. All of a sudden they had to start recognizing. Now let's go find the one where I won. All right. Nearly 2 years ago, medical marijuana advocate Sam Matthews set out to prove he was on the right side of the law in his battle with the city over his seized marijuana buds. He was vindicated Monday and awarded $800. Merced County Superior Court Judge Ron Hansen ruled that Matthews deserved $300 as compensation for the marijuana and $500 additional for the pain and suffering for the time he went without his medication. Matthews first sought $7,500. Again, that's the max you can go after under small claims court. But like I said, it's not about the money, the 26-year-old explained. It's the self-satisfaction that I stood up for what I believe. It's the law in California, and it's my right. Merced city spokesman Mike Conway said the judge ruled that the city followed the law, but awarded Matthews the money in the interest of justice because they were trying to follow federal law. But that's his words, not the judge's. Between Matthews filing his October 2006 claim against the city and the hearing, a 3-justice panel from the state 4th District Court of Appeals ruled that police must return seized medical marijuana. We respect his decision, Conway said. We plan on following the law. We will also follow any judge's order. So the decision marks the end of Matthews' long, strange trip through the court system, which he often characterized as David versus Goliath. The case transformed the Merced College student studying heating and air conditioning into a pseudo-legal scholar who tossed out Latin legal phrases like res judica and ex parte when discussing his battle. Matthews apologized for his cocky and combative nature that marked the first year of his battle and said he believes people hold the wrong image of him. I'm not some burned out stupid pothead like people think I am, said Matthews, adding that he doesn't smoke in front of his 9-month-old daughter. I was really angry. It hurt my feelings the way the city treated me. And also the way the Sunstar did a first video on me made it out really good. The second video, when I won, they showed up. They did the same thing again. And then they asked, oh, do you have a kid? And then I brought my daughter out. I was all excited and happy that I won. Then they edited the video to make it look like I was smoking in front of my daughter. Dirty bastards. So I'm not, that made me mad. So anyways, let's see here. The case fell into the sticky contradictions between state and federal drug laws. So anyways, I won. I got my cash. And you want to know what I did? Is my son passed away in 2006, and I took the money that they gave me, and it was the very first toy drive. I swear to God. They took my stuff, and I got awarded $800, and I went down and I bought $800 worth of toys, and guess who I donated it to? The Merced Police Department. I wasn't in it for the money. I just wanted to do what was right. I wanted to be left alone. Now, after this, or the 2 years I was fighting this case, the police would harass me constantly, follow me around, trying to catch me selling marijuana or doing something, right? Transporting a large amount or some odd whatever have you. So they just always follow me. Now, this was when I was going to school to do my heating and air conditioning, and this was 14 years ago. So 14 years ago, I was just finishing up my school for heating and air conditioning, right? And my last year in, while I was suing the city, there was a federal marshal / Merced County Sheriff planted into 3 of my classes. And he followed me and watched me all year long. And towards the end of the year, at the very beginning, actually, like a few weeks in, he outed himself because he was hella pissed at me because I was telling the story about the cops messing with me and how the cops are all, not all of them, but assholes for doing that. And, he spoke up, well, I'm a sheriff, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's, And about halfway or 3/4 of the way through the school year, it was right before this was all done, or right after this, I think it was. He came up to me in the parking lot at night, and he told me, hey, man, he goes, I want to have a conversation with you. He goes, you know what? He goes, you know why I'm here. You know why I'm in all your classes. And I go, yeah, to either intimidate me or to watch me. I don't give a fuck, part of my language. But he says, I'm, watching you and this and that. And he goes, you know what? He goes, I think you're very smart. He goes, and I kind of like you. He goes, your attitude is positive, and he goes, you don't seem like a bad dude. He goes, and I'm gonna tell you, you won your case. He goes, but the squeaky gear gets greased, because after I won, I was just all, like I would write letters to the editor. I would go talk at the city council meetings because I was trying to get dispensaries brought here. And I was like, well, now that you guys are following this part of the law, why can't we open up a store? Someone needs to have access. I'm tired of driving to freaking the Bay Area to get my stuff. It's hella mad. Or I got to buy it on the street here. So I was like, why don't you allow a damn dispensary? And then you can put your magnifying glass on it and everything's right out in the open. So if there's anything going on, you can bust it. Other than that, though, let a legit business operate. 14 years ago, I tried to get the first dispensary opened here. And, man, they didn't like it. That's, when they planted that police officer in my class. So anyways, he had a conversation with me, told me, basically kind of threatened me, it's time to shut up. You won. He's like, you won. He goes, we're going to leave you alone. He goes, but you know the saying, the squeaky gear gets greased. Shook my hand, and I haven't ever seen him after that. And he didn't come back to class. I graduated, got into heating and air, got a family, and here we are. And to this day, I'm still a marijuana user, proud, to say it. And I have a good career, a good job, and I own my own business. Nobody can cancel me or call in. I'm not afraid of getting kicked off of anything or banned, or I have a legit good career. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned a little something. Smash that subscribe and like. And as a little end note here, I want to talk about my special needs brother used to have grand mal seizures, and he had seizures since he was a little kid consistently, and almost died from them a couple times. And one time was walking down the street with me. We were headed to like 7-Eleven or something. It was like about a half a mile walk from our house, and he just fell and busted his head open and shook and had a seizure. I didn't know what to do. We were only like 12 or 13, and it was some scary shit. But he started smoking soon after I did, and my brother hasn't had a seizure in like 20 plus years. I don't think it's good. I don't advocate for people to just run around smoking. Except to tell you the negatives really quick before we get off here. I'm not some fool. It has memory issues, definitely. For those who are under 25, it affects the way the brain develops. And, your brain isn't fully done developing until you're about 25. It affects the way that your synapses fire off. So it can lead you to kind of think a little bit differently, not in a bad way per se, but you need your brain to develop naturally. You need to, unless you really have to use it medically. That's why I'm hoping that with it being legal in most states, hopefully the federal government will finally, get off their high horse, and hopefully we can actually start curing things like epilepsy, cancer, the what's the one that has where they shake. There's just so many diseases that it has potential to cure or even at least treat. And but I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that there's a lot of positives. However, when used by young kids and when used too often, there are times I've felt a toxic buildup in me where I've had anxiety attacks, almost like heart attacks, where you get all stressed out. There are, different strains that can do that to you naturally too, that are more of an upper than a downer. So you got to know your strains, indica, sativa. And then if you harvest a plant late, doesn't matter if it's indica or sativa, it's going to have that kind of sleepy effect. A sativa, though, will have an upper at first and then a sleeper afterwards, while an indica will just lay you out. And if it's harvested late, if it's harvested early, then a sativa is an ultra upper and you don't even really get too high off of it, while an indica is more of an upper, then kind of has a downer effect afterwards. So depending on how mature the crystals are, depending on what stage of harvest it, like what growth it was harvested, what type it is, there's a lot of factors. So it may not do what you want it to do. A lot of people react to it differently. Some people just don't really jive with it. They get stressed out, they get paranoid, they don't like the way that it makes them feel. It's not for everybody. I think it also does two other things that it can do is negatively, is I think it can kind of stunt your options in life, as far as even if things change and no companies care about it or drug test, it just kind of makes you lazy a little bit. So you're not going to achieve as much if you use it wrong. If you use it recreationally and you smoke in the morning, smoking all the time, you're going to find yourself sleepy, probably a little overweight, especially if you have a sweet tooth. It does give you the munchies and will make you a little lazy. But that's the majority of the downfall, and also some lung issues. Smoking is not good for you. But there's so many positives, though. Control of anxiety, depression, PTSD, pain, relaxation, comfort, just all the different things, nerve issues, appetite issues, epilepsy, seizures. It's just like the list is insane on what it can help you with. So, we're going to leave it there. And whatever side of the spectrum you fall on, and whether you're against it or for it, I just wanted to educate. This video hopefully is a little educational on the fact that, you'll learn a little something about how in California the pot industry really boomed after 2007 into 2008. Why that is, why things changed around that time, was because of me. And I'd like to get my story out. So tell everybody, one thing I can kind of do, the two things in life, you want to accomplish something, right? You want to say before you die, you did something. And just my children and my family alone, greatest accomplishment I've ever done is my children and my family that I've got now, and where I'm at now compared to where I've been. But number two is I really am proud of the fact that I did this. I stood up to very scary, highly powerful enemies and was able to withstand 2 years of police being parked around the corner, a couple houses down, from having random people knock on my door and try to purchase marijuana from me, from having cops following me, unmarked cars following me, for 2 years of stress and drama to fight this battle, to turn around and only win $800, and to turn around and donate that $800 back to the police department in the form of toys for kids. Ever since then, I've tried to do a toy drive in honor and memory of my son, and now you know a little bit about the backstory as well, and just to do something good as well every year. So please smash that subscribe and like, and thank you for watching.